This is the HUGO Intense. The HUGO Intense is about 30% less intensity than the HUGO Pro, which is its cousin. So the HUGO Intense is still a very powerful device that will still cause muscle contractions. And as in the HUGO Pro, we have the usual face to the device. On-off switch, power insert, where you can put your power cords, a countdown, start reset button, or start pause button or reset button, and the intensity dial. Plus we have the connector inserts or outlets, if you will, and this is where you're going to connect your applicators. You have the capacity to run 2 applicators at a time. That includes the whole body pad, 1 whole body pad, or 2 whole body pads at the same time, or 1 whole body pad and a coil, a rope coil at the same time. Or you can only run 1. So you can just do 1 applicator if you want to, and that's what this plug is for. So first thing you do, obviously, is you turn on the power. But key point, before you turn on the power, make sure that the intensity dial is turned down to minimum. Now the dial is not marked, and there's no indicator here for the intensity setting. So what you have to do is mark it with a marker at like the 9 o'clock position that would mark your minimum intensity. So what you do is you turn your dial back down till you feel resistance. It's almost like a full stop there, but don't try to force it past that stop, or you might disrupt the threads on the dial. And then the dial will go up 180 degrees approximately to the maximum intensity, and again you have this hard resistance at the end of that, typically around 3 o'clock, close to 4 o'clock. So make sure the dial is turned all the way down to minimum before you plug in the power. All right, and then you turn on the power, and you'll hear the fan. You'll also see the settings, the timer light up, and there's two of them here. One is the countdown timer, and then one is the whole time that you have left. You'll hear the fan going, which you should hear. Again, you have the start and pause button. You have a reset button. So we don't have any coils set up here, so we're going to do that. We're going to set up two sets of coils, and it's very easy to do. They have to be matched up to the insert ports. So what you do typically is you put it blue to the blue insert, and you put it in at around 11 o'clock, and make sure it's seated completely, and twist it back up to about 12 o'clock. And you hear a click when it's seated properly. Again, 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock, and it's seated in. So that's with one coil. And then you do the same thing with the other one. Put it in at 11 o'clock, push it in, twist it, and you'll hear the click as it's set in place. Same thing with the other one. Now, these are heavy duty because of the amount of power that's going into the applicators. So the system is basically ready to go now, but you may need to press start and pause and reset. So you reset it so that it's set for 12 minutes, and then the countdown timer already begins. So we'll start it, and then we'll begin to turn up the dial. Okay, as you turn up the dial, you hear clicking. Now the click rate is variable based on the intensity. So the lower the intensity, the faster the clicking. As you increase the intensity, going clockwise, then you'll see that the clicking decreases in frequency and how often it pulses. We don't use frequencies for these devices because it's a pulse rate or a pulse repetition rate, not a frequency specifically. The frequency is not relevant to high intensity PEMFs. Alright, so this is almost maximum intensity. And then you can see the timer counting down. So at any time you can pause it, so it stops clicking, and then restart it. So once you pause it and then restart it, just press start again, it'll just start back up again where you left off in terms of the time. Now, if you want to, at any point you can basically just reset. So we pause, and then we reset the clock and the timer, and it'll keep going. That's essentially the function of the HUGO Intense. Now, to turn it off, again, before you turn it off or unplug it or bring out the applicators, always make sure that your intensity is turned back down to minimum. Okay, and then you turn it off. So before you unplug it, make sure it's turned off. Also, you don't have to unplug the power, but make sure that the unit is turned off before you take the plugs out. To unplug the applicators, again, make sure it's turned off. You can unplug the power cord and lay it down there. That should put it in the back chair here for the moment. And then we unplug the applicators. And you unplug the applicators in basically the reverse order that you plug them in. And so you pull the little click thing, little button here. You pull that back towards you. Turn the control, the plug part. Turn it to the left about 11 o'clock, and then just pull it out. So again, you pull the knob back, twist it to 11 o'clock, and pull it out. Right, and you do the same thing for all the applicators that you've got. Twisting out, pull it left, 11 o'clock, and pull it out. And then that's it. And make sure the power's off, and that your knob is set down to minimum for the next person or the next treatment time. Because if you have it set up at a higher intensity for the next person, they can get zapped pretty good. You don't want that.